Hey everybody, welcome to this week's webinar. Brendan and I here at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri. This week's webinar is golf instruction getting too technical. As always, we're brought to you by Medicus Golf and KK's Golf. If you have any questions, put them in the sidebar and we will get to them at the end of what we have to talk about. So, you know, there's a lot of instruction today that seems to be overly technical. An example was in a golf publication recently. There was an article that was fairly scientific, and the author did a great job on the science part of it. Yeah. If you went to that publication's website and you read the responses, the vast majority of them thought it was way too complicated. And as teachers, sometimes we like to hear ourselves talk. And other times we'd like to impress the students with our knowledge, but at the end of the day, you know, Homer Kelly, the guy who wrote The Golfing Machine, had a phrase in there that said, demanding that golf instruction is simple only makes it vague and incomplete. Yeah. Well, it's two parts to that. For instance, if Brendan is setting up and I said, okay, Brendan, I want you to flat load your feet so you can snap load your power package. That way you can amplify both lag and drag, while applying number 3, power accumulator. Yeah. Okay, nobody's going to get that. He's going to stand there like a deer in the headlights. Yeah. Okay, but if I told him to keep your feet on the ground, okay, get your arm, keep your right arm away from you, and now move your arms downward to the ball and apply just a little club face rotation. That's much simpler verbiage. Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, though, we only want to talk about one particular thing, you know, at a time, you know, with one of the players, and we will pick an area within the 5 keys that deserves the highest amount of attention right then. Yep. To help clear up some of the other things that are going on. So, well, we see this every day. Some people are going to want some technical explanation once you give it to them. Some people don't want it at all. I mean, it's like using all the technology we have today. Some people don't want to see it, and some people do. Right. You know, so. For us, it's just a way of measuring things. For the players, we don't want them to have to be self-reliant on technology. Yeah. We want to get them to play and feel what you're trying to do on the golf course.
Yeah. Feel what they're doing and understand, you know, what's causing the ball to do what. Right. And, you know, Chuck and I, we always tell our players we want you to be your own coach. Right. And with that is understanding, well, if my golf ball is doing this particular thing, I know how to make the adjustment to do whatever I want to do. So, you know, back to what you're saying, that's, you know, in a nutshell, what we're all trying to do is figure out, okay, how are we getting from point A to point B in as few strokes as possible, and just go from there.
Right. And you know, being technical in golf instruction is okay when instructors are talking to each other, but, you know, 95, 99% of the people that we teach and that most of us teach every day on the lesson team, they don't need all that technical information. Right. They know how to take your hands from here to here to here.
Yeah. Just like if you go see a doctor, you know, if I'm going in for a checkup, and if I've got problems, I'm just going to look at the doctor and say, give it to me straight where I understand what you're talking about.
Right.
You know, so.
And you know, well, just, you know, recent experience with one of them, you know, they start going into all this stuff and I go, whoa. Tell me in terms that I know, not in terms that you know.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because that way I'll understand what you're saying. Otherwise, I'm going to walk out of here shaking my head like this and go outside and go, I have no clue what you're saying.
And, you know, all this, you know, everybody's always going to read new things with golf instruction. You know, I mean, there's always some new things out there. I mean, is it new? I mean, some of it is. I mean, I don't want to, you know, say any of the science or anything like that. But, you know, in a roundabout way, if you just figure out the path and a lot of these other things, the ball will normally do what you want it to do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the ultimate guide is, you know, no matter what a player's doing, if the ball is doing what they want to do, I mean, we see this every day. People will post a swing up somewhere and they say, what do you guys see? And there'll be 75 answers to what should be fixed with this player. Yeah. And then at the very end, the person who posted said, shoot 66 every day. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to fix anything.
Okay. Exactly. Why would you?
Well, you know, I mean, if you look at one of the players we have here, it's one of the top players we have here. If you look at that swing, It's a swing only mother could love.
And his putting stroke's even better.
Yeah, really good. So it's like a +6, okay? Well, I'm not going to tell them to do anything any different, you know. Now, some of the other guys, you know, they got swings that look like they'd be pretty efficient, but the ball's going everywhere, you know, so they're really not controlling those two pieces, the face and the head.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So at the end of the day, I think that, you know, by and large, golf instructors have a propensity to put a little more into the instruction piece to the student than probably the student needs.
Yeah.
Just try to keep key on one particular area, get that area going, then move on to the next one if that first one doesn't adjust.
Yes, exactly.
So, anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think, you know, I mean, like we were talking earlier, there's a lot of science, new science being written about, being talked about, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's not science. I mean, in a roundabout way, you know, you just, again, you know, control the face, control the head, control the shaft, and more times than not, things will work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, and you control those three pieces from address, top to finish, and the ball, and in cliche way, it just kind of gets in the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're hitting fat or thin, then you know that that's going to be related to, you know, how your body's moving. Right, so you've got to get more pressure forward. You've got to get the hands more forward.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got direction and curvature issues, you know it's a path in the face. So you focus more on what the sweet spot path's doing with the club head and what the club face is doing. You know, I mean, we spend a lot of time because we have a lot of players, especially the juniors, that get down here and they firing too hard out this way. So they get their numbers as far as technology numbers on the radar are way out of whack. So we spend a lot of time trying to get them to get down to waist high and then feel the hands moving up and left while the club head stays out, and it takes away all the big curves. You know, they're still in baby draw.
Yeah.
And we've got other players, right, that swing down across it, and now they're more outward to inward, and the faces, you know, they're not hitting fades, they're hitting slices.
Yeah.
So for them, we've got them doing just what big people that overhook it do too much, trying to get them to go the other way.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have to explain that in a bunch of science or, you know, or technology. Just move your hands and club that way. You know, if you're slicing it too much, and if you're drawing it too much, move your hands and club more to the left.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know, it's interesting because sometimes, and I've had this happen recently, where you know somebody's battling either being a fade / slice.
Right.
And so I say, okay, so what are you doing? Well, they already know what the face is doing. They already know what the path is doing. So they know that part. So then you just say, okay, what would you do if you're going to hit a draw? They say, well, I changed the path to this and the face to this. Okay, well, feel a draw and hit it. Next thing you know, it goes straight.
Right.
So again, it's right back to just stop and say, well, this is all I got to do.
Right.
And you're off and running.
Yeah, and you don't have to go into 25 different ways to get that done.
Yeah.
Or how all the little segments work.
Yeah. You know, it's you know, like you were talking earlier, people will post all these great looking swings and everybody's wanting to know, well, what does this swing look like? Well, who cares what it looks like? Right? Get the results you want. Right. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple of questions. Let me go up here and see what they are. All right, the first one is from Air. Why not use the term turn to the right and roll to the left instead of more difficult terms? Well, and again, you can certainly do that. You know, the phrase that we use a lot is turn to the right, roll to the left, if we're doing that procedure, right? But there's also the advocates in the science world that want to keep it all different, and they'll talk about supination, pronation.
Yeah. Flexion and extension.
Flexion and extension. Yeah. You know, it's so, you know, ulnar deviation, radial. You know, so they all mean the same thing. But for the average person walking in here, I mean, you know, we have a decent knowledge of anatomy and terms, but I'm not going to tell them to add, you know, more flexion, more extension.
Exactly.
I'm not going to tell them to supinate and pronate. I'm going to use turn and or roll, depending on what it is.
Yeah. So,
you know, it's not the same for everybody. Somebody that took it up not turned, and then you tell them to roll, you know, the toe's going to, the edge of the toe's going to come down and hit the golf.
Yeah.
All right. So in those terms, you need to make sure what they're doing back here matches up down there,
Yes.
which is what we all call component matching and sequencing.
Yeah. You know, just like you said, somebody like Dustin Johnson, who at the top of the swing looks like that.
Right?
I hope he doesn't roll it.
No, he rolled it too much, that made it that area. So we'll really get to see in the news today is Tiger's going to play in the Masters. So we'll get to see what he's been working on, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I mean, I think the Masters is the one major championship where you cannot have a mediocre short game. It needs to be like top tier at the Masters, just because of the greens and all the undulations.
Yeah.
So, well, that's the only question we have. So I guess we will see you next week. And next week's subject, it's actually a guy named Joe Kim called me about it down in Florida. So Joe, this is going to go out to you next week. It's called pivot controlled hands versus hand controlled pivot. So if you want to know what the differences in those are, sign up next week and we'll see you then.
Yep.
All right. See y'all.